6. Application in everyday life. The previous explanations are the traditional orthodox explanations. They are found in the commentaries and have been passed down through the ages. These explanations emphasize the round of rebirth, samsara vata, the passing from one life to another. They demonstrate the connection between 3 lifetimes: the past, the present, and the future, and they have been developed into a fixed, strictly defined system. Some people are not content with these explanations and wish to define dependent origination in the context of everyday life. They cite explanations in the Buddhadhamma and the commentaries that describe the entire sequence of dependent origination arising in a single moment. They can draw upon the same scriptural passages referred to in the orthodox explanations to support their own interpretation. Moreover, they can find evidence in other texts to substantiate their claims, as will be seen below. This alternate explanation has interesting and distinctive features. There are many justifications for this alternate explanation. For example, the end of suffering for an arahant occurs in this very life. He or she does not need to die first in order to achieve this state of peace. An arahant is not reborn. There is no aging, death, sorrow, lamentation, etc. in a future life. Even in this life, an arahant experiences no sorrow, lamentation, etc. The complete cycle of dependent origination in relation to the arising or ceasing of suffering occurs in the present time. One need not trace back to a previous life or wait for a future life, and whenever one understands the presently occurring cycle, one also understands the cycles incorporating the past and future. These respective cycles are all essentially the same. The following teachings by the Buddha are referred to as corroboration for this alternative interpretation. Dayan, if someone should recollect his manifold past lives, then either he might ask me a question about the past, Pabanta, past life, or I might ask him a question about the past, and he might satisfy my mind with his answer to my question, or I might satisfy his mind with my answer to his question. If someone with divine eye should see beings passing away and reappearing, then either he might ask me a question about the future, aparanta, next life, or I might ask him a question about the future, and he might satisfy my mind with his answer to my question, or I might satisfy his mind with my answer to his question. But let be the past, Udayan, let be the future. I shall teach you the Dhamma. When this exists, that comes to be. With the arising of this, that arises. when this does not exist, that does not come to be. With the cessation of this, that ceases. Bhadraka, the headman, approached the Blessed One, paid homage to him, sat down to one side, and said to him, "It would be good, Venerable Sir, if the Blessed One would teach me about the origin and passing away of suffering." If, headman, I were to teach you about the origin and the passing away of suffering with reference to the past, saying, "So it was in the past," perplexity and uncertainty about that might arise in you. And if I were to teach you about the origin and the passing away of suffering with reference to the future, saying, "So it will be in the future," perplexity and uncertainty about that might arise in you. Instead, headman, while I am sitting right here, and you are sitting right there, I will teach you about the origin and the passing away of suffering. Some feelings, sivaka, arise originating from bile disorders, originating from phlegm disorders, originating from wind disorders, originating from a combination of causes, produced by a change of climate, produced by irregular exercise, caused by assault, produced as the result of karma. How feelings arise originating from the aforementioned causes, one can know for oneself, and that is considered to be true in the world. Now, when those ascetics and Brahmins hold such a doctrine and view as this, whatever feeling a person experiences, whether it be pleasant or painful, all that is caused by what was done in the past. They overshoot what one knows by oneself, and they overshoot what is considered to be true in the world. Therefore, I say that this is wrong on the part of those ascetics and Brahmins. Bhikkhus, what one intends, what one pays attention to, and what one thinks about, this becomes a basis for the maintenance of consciousness. When there is a basis, there is a support for the establishing of consciousness. When consciousness is established and come to growth, there is the production of future renewed existence. When there is the production of future renewed existence, future birth, aging and death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair come to be. Such is the origin of this whole mass of suffering. Although the alternative explanation of dependent origination has distinctive features, it does not abandon the definitions contained in the standard exposition. Therefore, to understand the alternative explanation, it is useful to define the factors of dependent origination in this context in a way that is consistent with the standard exposition. A. Factors of dependent origination. 1. Avidya, ignorance, lack of knowledge, an absence of wisdom, not seeing the truth, to be misled by conventional reality, ignorance inherent in certain beliefs, non-understanding of causality. 2. Sankhara, volitional activities, thoughts, intentions, deliberations, and decisions, to direct one's thoughts and to seek agreeable sense impressions that correspond with one's temperament, proclivity, abilities, beliefs, and opinions. The fashioning of the mind, thoughts and actions by habitual tendencies. 3. Vijnana, consciousness, the awareness of sense impressions, sights, sounds, smells, tastes, tactile objects, and mental objects, and the awareness of one's particular state of mind. 4. Nama Rupa, mind and body, the elements of materiality and mentality within the process of cognition, the coordination by all components of the body and mind, conforming to the arising state of consciousness, the progression and alteration of physical and mental factors in accord with the particular state of mind. 5. Salayantana, 6 sense basis, the functioning of the associated sense basis in accord with the specific circumstances. 6. Phassa, contact, cognition of sense objects, the connection between consciousness and the outside world. 7. Vedana, feeling, the sensation of pleasure, pain, or neither pain nor pleasure. 8. Tanha, craving, desire, a yearning for pleasant sensations and an aversion to painful sensations. The wish to obtain, become, or sustain particular states of mind, or the wish for extinction and annihilation. 9. Upadana, attachment, grasping, clinging to pleasant or unpleasant sensations, engaging with and attaching to things that provide such sensations. This attachment leads to an evaluation of things according to how they support or gratify craving. 10. Bhava, process of becoming, the entire range of behavior in response to craving and grasping. Kama bhava, active process, and the subsequent condition of life. Upati bhava, passive process, conforming to craving, grasping, and personal behavior. 11. Jati, birth, the arising of self-perception as existing or not existing in a particular state of life, to occupy this existence and to adopt the corresponding behavior, kama bhava, by affirming this existence and behavior as one's own. 12. Jara marana, aging and death, decay and death, the awareness that one will be separated from this state of existence, the feeling of being threatened by the loss and decay of such an existence. As a consequence, people experience the entire range of suffering, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, despair, stress, annoyance, depression, disappointment, anxiety, etc. B. Preliminary explanation of the relationship between factors. 1. Ignorance conditions volitional formations. Because of not knowing the truth and not wisely investigating different situations, people create various mental fabrications. They speculate fantasize and conceptualize in terms of established beliefs, inhibitions and habits, and they then determine how to speak and act. 2. Volitional formations condition consciousness. When there is intention or the determination to engage with something, consciousness arises to see, to hear, to smell, to taste, to feel, and to think about that thing. In particular, intention induces consciousness awareness to acknowledge and think about the desired object, resulting in an endless stream of mental proliferation. Intention also conditions a person's state of mind, endowing it with particular qualities as positive or negative, virtuous or defiled. 3. Consciousness conditions mind and body. Consciousness is accompanied by corresponding physical and mental attributes. Consciousness functions in conjunction with physical and mental factors, such as bodily organs, sensation, perception, and volitional formations. Moreover, in whatever way consciousness has been conditioned, the accompanying physical and mental factors function in concert with this consciousness. For example, when consciousness has been conditioned by angry volitional formations, accompanying perceptions are associated with coarse language, insults, and violence. A person's countenance will appear sullen, his muscles will be tense, his pulse will quicken, and he will feel stressed. When consciousness is repeatedly conditioned in a particular way, a person's mental and physical attributes develop into specific personality traits. 4. Mind and body conditions the sixth sense basis. When mind and body has been activated in a particular configuration or direction, it relies on the support from the sense basis, which supply information or act as a channel for behavior. The sense bases are roused to perform their particular duty. 5. The sixth sense basis condition contact. When the sixth sense basis exist, contact with and cognition of sense objects is possible. Cognition depends on the individual sense basis. 6. Contact conditions feeling. With contact there must be feeling, either pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. 7. Feeling conditions craving. When experiencing a pleasing sense object, a person feels delight. He or she becomes attached to that object and wants more of it. Consequently, there is craving for sense objects, kama tanha. One wishes to maintain or abide in a state where one can further experience the pleasure from that object. There arises the craving for becoming, bhava tanha. When experiencing a painful sense object, one feels aversion. One wants to escape from or eliminate it. Consequently, there is the craving for extinction, vibhava tanha, and when experiencing a neutral object, one is indifferent, indecisive, and deluded. The object is experienced as a mild form of pleasure, leading to attachment, and a desire for more pleasant sensations. 8. Craving conditions grasping. When desire intensifies, it leads to attachment. The desire is lodged in the heart, and the person is unable to let go of it. This gives rise to a particular behavior in relation to an object. If one likes the object, one binds oneself to it and submits to it. Whatever is associated with the object is viewed as good. Whatever disturbs it is viewed as disturbing one's self. If one dislikes an object, one feels as if one is encountering an opponent. One feels repulsed by and in conflict with anything associated with this object. One sees nothing redeeming about the object and feels personally offended by it. One's behavior, both in relation to pleasing and displeasing objects, reinforces and validates the following 4 things. 1. Objects of sensual gratification, kama, which are acquired or lost. 2. Views and understanding of things associated with sense objects, including one's views on life and the world, ditthi. 3. Practices, rules and customs, sila baddha, maintained for acquiring and avoiding sense objects, and 4. A sense of self, attavada, which acquires things or is impeded. 9. Grasping conditions becoming. When there is grasping and particular ways of behaving towards objects, people and states of mind, a person generates a corresponding state of existence, both in regards to general behavior, kama bhava, beginning with patterns of thought, and in regards to personality, which are the mental and physical traits of that person's life at that time. Upati bhava. Examples of this are the distinct behavior and personality of people who seek material wealth, people who seek power, people who seek fame, people who seek physical beauty, and people who are antisocial. 10. Becoming conditions birth. With the arising of a personally occupied state of existence, there is a sense of self, a distinct awareness of abiding in or embodying this state of existence. A person believes, for example, that he or she is the owner, the recipient, the agent, the winner or the loser in this state of existence. 11. Birth, conditions, aging and death. With the arising of a self that occupies a state of existence, it is natural to experience both growth and decline within that state, including a sense of weakening and passing away from that state. In particular, there is the threat of perishing and the need to continually watch over and preserve that state. The decline, loss and threat of decay causes perpetual grief and suffering.